It's a beautiful fall day in the neighborhood. Hey, I'm talking about what to do with a low marketing budget today. Get this question all the time. Hey, who would you refer? What suggestions do you have for me? I've got 1K, 2K a month, or just like 10K chunk or something like that. So this is going to answer those questions for you. I'm going to slow down. I just like to do that quick title in case somebody's curious what this is about. And I'm going to add Michael Stearns in here in a second. And I feel like I want to make this video comprehensive in certain ways so that I can send it to prospects that have a low marketing budget. And, usually at the beginning of your business, if you've got $1,000 a month, it feels like a large marketing budget. But marketing, unless you're willing to put in a lot of time yourself, is a very it's time intensive, or it's money intensive basically. And I spend a good amount of money on our marketing. We see roofing companies and other home service businesses spending pretty large amounts in some cases, right? There's different levels of aggressiveness on this. I think the most common percentages I see out. Michael, thank you. What up, bro?
What up?
What are some common percentages that you see roofing companies, home service businesses spending on marketing? What are some kind of like common percentages?
0 to 10% of gross? Zero to 10%? Somewhere in between
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like 3, 4, 5 is kind of a place where I see like a little bit people that are satisfied with where they're at on revenue. And then I see a lot of like 5, 6, 7s and a little bit more aggressive. And in some crazy cases, more than that. And just people trying to like crank it up, right? Crank it up. So
Sure.
let's get into it. I'm going to share a few things that I suggest, and I'm curious, what do you suggest as well for people with a lower marketing budget? My first suggestion is always going to be learn to do it yourself. And I want to honor Eric Richardson, who's on. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Someone who's a great example of doing it himself, both always talking about craftsmanship on social media and somebody who's really learned SEO. And if you're trying to learn SEO, learningseo.io is a great resource. I'm sure Michael and I have both watched countless YouTube videos learning different strategies. It's really about figuring out who to follow on SEO, because there's a lot of people, one, that don't know how to do aggressive SEO, because you do need aggressive SEO if you're a small business. What up? What up, Jordan? And then also, just like, you want people that have done it. You really want to learn from people that have actually done this stuff and actually gotten serious results. So example might be like Matt Diggity is somebody that I follow on SEO. Eric, where did you learn? Eric, throw in the comments, where did you learn SEO? But learn some of this yourself. PPC, Surfside PPC is a great place to learn. Learning is my first one. Learn some of this yourself if you can.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I think the more equipped you are to do it, the better equipped you are to hold people accountable. If it gets to a point where you hire an external agency or you bring that internally, right? You hire somebody internally to handle different facets of your marketing. If you have a baseline understanding or you're proficient in any of these facets of what you're doing, you have the tools necessary in order to successfully hold people accountable. So that's a really good point, Tim.
And then I think we start to get into you and I's like normal drumbeat of like local service ads, for instance. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about what you would do? What number is something that like will make a meaningful impact if you're spending it on LSA or Google Guaranteed?
I mean, the thing with local services is like I recommend every contractor enroll in it because you know what? There's a good chance that you can enroll in local services and get nothing out of it as far as leads. Like you don't get shit. It's crickets because you know there's 50 contractors in your market and there's you know you're position 15. But that like leads are the number one thing that make local services great and what it does for small businesses. But there are still fringe benefits of being Google guaranteed that I feel is often overlooked. Implement the fact that you're Google guaranteed into your sales and marketing processes. Help people understand what it means that you have this green check mark. Like, look, we're vetted by Google. Our guys, we pass a background check. We have our licenses and insurance. Google gives a guarantee behind our work. That's how confident Google is in our company. Like,
Yeah.
for me, that does a world of difference having an endorsement from a company like Google.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
If I'm selling to a homeowner.
I'm going to throw out here truck wraps job site branding as one of the ones too. So Eric is answering our question, which was, I started with Neil Patel videos. Then I have a friend who started a bumper dock franchise and he paid to go huge with marketing and SEO masterminds. Then I asked him to pay for what he learned. That's cool. That's
Nice.
awesome.
Resourceful.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been to one of these classes and you could pick their brain. Dude, one of my close friends in high school went to a really good art college, and whenever he would come back from college, I would spend like half a day with him and like just download the stuff he learned. It's funny, but I didn't have the money for that really great art college, so went for it. I love that. So job site branding, it is costly, right? You said I'll pose it to you as a question. If you had an extra $10,000 for 2022, we're in 2022 right now, if you watch this later, and 3 months left, what would you do with that $10,000? Maybe you're trying to offset taxes a little bit. Maybe you like really would like that $10,000 to get you some meaningful leads.
Yeah. So if my accountant tells me, look, we got to dump 10K based on what you're projected to earn, for the sake of offsetting profit, expenses, what have you. So I think context is important. So like, for instance, if I'm already running Google Ads, maybe I scale that ad budget. If I've got trucks and not all of them are wrapped, maybe I invest into wrapping the trucks, right, that aren't. In addition to that, I'd reach out to your manufacturer and talk about co-op and what they can do to help you with that expense. So that's as much as I'll digress there. Maybe you do like, blitzes around recent neighborhoods or rehash campaigns with direct mail. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. I think that, being methodical about it as far as how you're going to deploy that spend to make sure that you're going to get the most out of it as possible is important. Don't just look at it as like, I'm going to take the path of least resistance and I'm just going to spend 10K here because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because it's, 10K that I have to spend. There will be various amounts of return that you'll get out of that based on how you deploy that.
Absolutely. And, it's a good segue because Jay Bradley is here with Roof Nuts, and he teaches people how to door knock. And I think probably even with more sophisticated like marketing and sales organizations, one of the problems I see is that the salespeople rest on their laurels. And there's an element of you want your people to always use that extra time. If they've got 30% extra time with either door knocking around jobs, door knocking in general in a storm affected area, or referral systems. Like, I believe you can make a meaningful impact by having all of the people on your sales team make a habit of weekly taking different referral partners out for coffee, networking, being part of these groups. And I mean, I think that should be a cultural thing. And I would say that is a marketing expense. I would say you could take $5,000 this next 3 months and say, this is coffee budget for all of you guys. Go make best friends with all the realtors, all the insurance agents you can, and here's money to go bring them to coffee.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, and if you talk to any of my guys or people I speak to, I'm a huge proponent, and I scream it all day, every day, that you have to have like leads that you provide to your reps should be viewed as a perk, not an entitlement. And you have to have sales activities carved in, and I'd highly recommend there being structure to that. And creating a process for sales activities. So things like, hey, I want you guys, to spend 2 hours networking a week, right? And this is how I want it done. So like, it's incumbent upon you as a leader to set the tone of what you want for your sales team. And then the latter half of that is like, you have to follow up to make sure those things are being executed and effectively manage your team.
All right. So we've got door knocking, we've got job site branding and truck wraps, we've got LSAs, local service ads, we've got learn it yourself. I'm gonna get into, what about like, I want a marketing agency. I'm ready. I think even though, let's say we have a couple $1,000s a month, I would like to have an agency or a freelancer or something. Sorry, I'm foreshadowing there. What would you do? Like, is there somebody that is willing to help for that level? And have you seen that be effective? Because like, usually people come to me are like, what agency is the best besides you guys? And obviously I say Ascend Digital Agency at that point. But the other thing that people want is like, what's the step down? You know what I mean? And the problem is, you and I both made a list of possible like referrals to people that are half our price. I was making this and I was showing it to you. And the problem is, and I was showing it to my wife, and she's like, yeah, but you're going to be responsible if people take those choices and they're not good.
Yeah.
Like, I can't make those. I want to give people those, but like, usually they're cheaper because like, especially like the roofing niche cheap agencies, just to be real, like usually have some flaws if they're that cheap in my experience. So is there anywhere else we can go?
Yeah, back to the drawing board and DIY, right? So I think it's one of those things where you have to have the right expectation, right? So if you're saying I want X amount of leads and somebody's telling you it's going to cost you X amount of ad dollars based on historical data to acquire that many leads now, like that number is not going to change regardless of who you're working with. So just be aware of that, because it's hard when you don't have extensive understanding on the subject matter, like pay-per-click, for instance, right? And you're looking for somebody to run your pay-per-click campaign. And it's like, this person told me it's 7,000. This person told me it's 2,000, right? Like, what it's going to cost to acquire a lead will vary based on who's running the campaign. But assuming everyone in that conversation knows how to run a pay-per-click campaign and has a history of performing well within that, those numbers aren't going to change very much as far as what the cost per lead is or should be. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have a great answer as far as who to go to.
I was going to use that moment to say just a few things about, like, sometimes you can get a good deal on like a freelancer or a local agency. I think that there is pockets of beauty to that, because it's a trade-off. Maybe they don't have as much context on roofing, but maybe they're scrappy and hungry and diligent sometimes. And I think that the tough part is, like, I've hired a lot of freelancers in the past. The tough part is just that, you get a dud every once in a while. So don't commit to 2 years with like a freelancer. Like, these are things like you got to hold lightly and move on kind of quickly. But that's something that I would consider too. It doesn't always, like, Michael and I both benefit a lot from being niched, right? We both benefit from that. But like, you don't have to have a niched marketing company or freelancer. So that's a way to kind of maybe like go local and get something scrappy, or use upwork.com, or string together some resources in a way that would allow you to get more quantity of things done for less money. The trade-off is always, we manage it, right? Like, both you and I we make sure that we're going towards a certain result, and we're managing the work getting done as well, which is a whole nother job, which is like, when I see people trying to do it themselves, I always have some empathy for that though. And I know that is another job. And what's really required in these situations is consistency, diligence. And so if you're trying to do that on top of running a roofing company, that's the hard part. But those are the ways I would do it. If like a local freelancer, or several things strung together on Upwork or something like that, if I was personally going to do that. But I also I have a lot more context because I am in this world.
Sure. And like in that vein, those are really good points. Here's a quick thing that you can do to help find viable, inexpensive help. Google colleges near me, find colleges,
Yeah.
go to the department that makes the most sense, right? They're going to have a faculty page, and usually they'll have their contact information. Reach out to one of the professors if they have, if there's like a chair of that department, reach out to them. I've done in the past where I've sent a cold email to like an adjunct professor. They're like, well, I don't handle that. This person does. And you can leverage the kids at college or recent graduates, right? College grads are usually underemployed at this point. So usually those teachers have relationships with their good students. You can leverage that as a resource to get qualified people in that are hungry and ambitious. And like Tim said, you can say, you don't necessarily have to commit long-term. It could be like a trial basis initially, but that's a great and outside the box way of acquiring people to help you do some of the things you need to do, whether it's video, content development, SEO, whatever. I would definitely recommend, looking in that direction if you're trying to find a cost-effective solution.
Jordan Harrison says you can always produce a ton of video content. It's free.
Damn it, Jordan! You took my next bullet point.
Oh God, let's use that as a segue.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, and we've talked about it a bunch in the past, Tim. Like if you're going up and you have the opportunity to inspect a roof, make a video about it, right? Make FAQ videos about things that you're asked all the time by homeowners, and answer those questions for your audience. Put that on your Facebook page. Put those in local Facebook community groups. Like leverage and deploy those assets in a way that's going to make people trust your brand. I think it's really important.
So that's basically the thing is, a lot of people don't want to do the hard stuff.
Sure.
That's hard, right? Making videos, or it feels hard when you haven't done it. But the
hard and uncomfortable.
Yeah, like I'll be real, the first couple times I did a live, I was so weirded out. Like it's not fun. There was no one in there. Hey, we have 6 people in here. 5, okay? So like ultimately I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for you throwing some hearts and likes if you want more of this type of stuff. But basically that is uncomfortable. The most uncomfortable stuff is the stuff that gets the biggest results. If you haven't noticed that yet, like with door knocking and like all this stuff that's super uncomfortable, or cold calling, bam, what happens? Stuff works when it's uncomfortable, because it's the more direct approach works. And it's just, I just want to encourage everyone to really think about how they can be doing more video, and how they can kind of not shy away from the uncomfortable week.
Yeah, and here's another thing, right? Like if you've got a smaller monthly budget and you want to drum up business, create incentives for your sales reps, right? Take a look at your comp plan. Take a look at what their baseline production, as far as like their expectation is. I expect this guy to produce 150K a month. And then create a contest for them for, excelling, right? And maybe it's a 3-month contest, maybe it's a 1-month contest, but make it make sense as far as the carrot that you're dangling and what you're going to have to pay out on that, and what you're going to net up as far as like the revenue and profit associated with that additional revenue that they're bringing in.
Yeah.
I think you can inject some life into salespeople and motivate them just a little bit more. You can definitely get more out of them, and it can obviously be successful.
Jonathan Brochi says contests work. I think that's good. He also So do contests with your salespeople, put up a leaderboard, make it visible, make a visible, scoreboard, KPI.
That's really important.
Rate. What's that?
That's really important. You got a bunch of type A alphas that, want to win, right? Presumably in the sales spot. So having that front and center, top of mind for those guys to look and say, I'm at the bottom. I mean, that in and of itself will motivate people.
Jonathan also asked, SEO or awesome website. If you had to pay one or the other, SEO or awesome website. Let me get my answer. I've got my answer. All right, now go, Michael. What would you say?
SEO or awesome website. So here's the thing: an awesome website, what you're gonna have to invest for an awesome website versus SEO is gonna be a recurring cost, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a tough question to answer, and I hate to bow out of answering it, but
yeah, come on.
You're comparing apples to oranges. Yeah. But I will say, I've seen comments that you can't have both, right? You can't have a pretty website, and you can't have SEO, a functional website that's going to be SEO viable if it's pretty. And that's simply not true. I'll dispel that myth right now. You can have both. Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It literally is nonsense when people say that, just to be honest with you, because you can have a lot of content. Really what it is about creating content in an ordered and structured way that comprehensively answers people's questions. So you can do that when you're also making something that's pretty and persuasive, right? And so I would suggest the reason I'm gonna just go out there because I feel like it's fun to just put your flag in the sand or whatever. I'm gonna say website. And I know Eric said SEO, pretty is a Lamborghini that only goes the speed limit. And I'm gonna say, hey, I love SEO. I love SEO, but here's the deal: I would do my SEO myself if I could only do one, and then I would pay somebody to make a beautiful website because beautiful website's a little harder. You know what I mean? It's a little harder to do. That means. But a website it's good even if somebody's door knocking. You know what I mean? A website. And if anyone's coming from, let's say, referrals, they see that website. So there's a little bit of it's got other, besides just internet marketing benefit, it has real world benefit. And it has employee benefit. If employees go to your website and they think they work at a cool company, partly because of the way they're presented. But that's also a price consideration because SEO done by an outside company is fairly expensive, correct?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on that. John says SEO drives them there, website keeps them there. Absolutely, sir. This has been what good is a site on page 2? Eric, I don't think we agree on the fact that SEO is the moneymaker. It's just, comparatively cost. It's cheaper to get a decent website. And so for the purposes of this particular video, we're kind of talking to people that don't have the money to have an agency or something do SEO for them. Anything else though, Michael, that we should touch on before we're done, so that we can people that have this question all the time.
For the younger companies is and it's not going to be earth shattering, but when you're starting a business and you're very early on and you're trying to drum up business, I think every bit of help that you can get is important. So go create a Google ad account, a Bing account, a Yelp account, and they'll usually throw a few $100 at you. Yelp will offer you $300, Google Ads will offer you $150 to run. I think Bing does the same thing. Again, it's not going to set the world on fire, but if you can get a couple opportunities out of that, that's great.
Yes, absolutely. And then if you really have a tight budget, think about, you can Google roofing WordPress theme or go to themeforest.com and you can ThemeForest, you can YouTube how to set up a WordPress theme. I think that that's probably an option for people that need cheap. It's a beautiful thing that, like, basically if you took half a day, you could set up a basic website with a WordPress theme or Squarespace. I mean, neither, like I said, I can't give any agency recommendations because all the agencies that are cheaper have to sacrifice on things like customer service. It feels like it seems like they have people a little bit more mad at them on average because they don't filter for relationship and they don't filter for clear expectations sometimes. So I can't give those. I wish I could, and then I wish I wouldn't have to suffer the consequences of giving those recommendations. But I probably would, my reputation would be affected by giving out those names. So I don't want to do it, even though I do want to do it. You know what I mean?
Know what you mean, man. So takeaway, you've got a bunch of opportunities for you guys to utilize resources. Hopefully there were some ideas that help somebody out there watching this or somebody who will watch it in the future, right? Don't be afraid to roll your sleeves up if you're a business owner, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think yeah, I agree 100%, man. It's a lot of, there's people, and I'm just going to be real direct for fun, right? And piss some people off. I'm going to piss some people off with this last word. If you're at $300,000 revenue or whatever, and you just want to pay your way out of it, you're going to be screwed. I mean, it's that, those are people, marketing solutions, even Yelp and all the lead aggregators. I'm not going to mention them by name. They want you to try to pay for the easy button. Everybody in that space, there's bottom feeders with new businesses that give you an easy button. They put it in front of you. They're like, just push the easy button. That'll be $100 for 1/5 of a lead.
Yeah.
Like, they want you to put that over and over and over and over again. And then they don't care if you cry about it. You know, I have a blog post with 50 comments telling me why Angie Leeds and all these different people are garbage. But newer roofing company owners still fall for it every single time. So basically, just when somebody presents you an easy button, just like, look at the easy button. What is it connected to? You know?
Yeah, and I'll end with, like, you know, the answer isn't always to throw more money at it, and that's kind of in line with the easy button thing. But you know, it's far too often, you know, I just want to spend more because that's the easiest. I guess
Not really.
it's the path of least resistance. And I'm not saying it's not the answer, but like situationally, it may or may not. But usually, there's other things that a business can do to increase productivity, revenue, and profit outside of spending more money, right?
Yes.
Take a look internally, take a look at what people are doing, take a look at eradicating any inefficient processes, any things that people are doing on a day-to-day just to check a box, right? Because that time is money. If you break it down and there's minutes and there's hours and you compile that over the course of a year, that shit adds up quickly and is real money that you're losing.
Yep. No, exactly. Like, and you know, like Eric's talking about the website, you got to redo it. If you have to redo that website in a year, that sucks. That's inefficiencies, right? I'm going to just throw it out there. I think, like, if you have to redo that website in a couple years or 3 years, I think that's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to have to redo a website in a couple years. Like, if it's not making you money and you need to redo it. Anyways, that's a lot of topics. So we can wrap this up though. What I know is there are a lot of things. Please go back and rewatch this if you're watching at the end here, with a lot of great nuggets for things you can do when you're early to actually get more leads. Michael, you're incredibly generous for being on. I appreciate your time, and definitely Mike with Ascend Digital Agency is an option for when it's time, when you start to get a little bit more sophisticated. And obviously, we'd like to be considered Hook Agency as well. Ben Tiger says, "What's up? What up, Ben?
What's up, turkeys?" This guy.
Ben, last question here. Should I change my name to Tim Hook on Facebook? Do you think that that's been useful to you in any way to have? Because I literally like have categorized you in my mind as Ben Tiger. Is that useful for your business? I'm curious.
Yeah, dude. So Ben and I got some sweet content forthcoming here this weekend. So
Okay.
everybody's gonna want to tune in for that. It's gonna be unforgettable. It's gonna be amazing. So keep your eyes open.
I love it.
And Ben's ignoring you.
All right. You probably just jumped in and then said what's up and then left. I do that sometimes on lives.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing Facebook geo-targeted for visitors under that billboard. Sniper with the A scope. Yes, remarketing. The first ads, I did a recent one on this, but do remarketing on Facebook and Google. That's a cheaper, if you can learn how to do that yourself a little bit, that's a cheaper way to just hit people. It's kind of like follow-up. It's kind of like sales follow-up, but for your marketing. Anywhere they go, you always see those ads. You looked at the shoes, now you see the shoes everywhere. You want to do that for yourself too, so that's a big one.
You thought of the damn shoes when the shoes are appearing.
Yeah.
So good stuff, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Dude, thanks for being part of it. Everyone have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate y'all. Bye.